Welcome back to New Rockstars. Deadpool and Wolverine's original storyline was apparently too much for Marvel head Kevin Feige, who shot down Ryan Reynolds' first pitch for Deadpool 3. This according to a very interesting article from Empire that came out earlier this week, and we're gonna break down everything we learned from it, including whether this is set in the Fox universe of cinematic Marvel experiences, which spells out the acronym of FUCME, something that we can't say fully because it's too early in the video and YouTube won't let us.
Womp womp. This is the Sneak Peek, New Rockstars weekly show where we look ahead to the future of fandom. In this episode, we're going to talk about Deadpool Wolverine's original concept and how it connects to the 2017 movie Logan. Ooh, and the biggest secrets from this production. Oh my gosh, and I need those secrets. I need them all. I'll eat them all. I'm Jessica Clemons, and here with me is the #1 cookie monster, Erik Voss.
Nom nom nom, me like cookie and Easter egg.
This article was so interesting. We were talking about it before we started rolling. It was written by Chris Hewitt, and I think there's just something about like a cultural difference in British journalism where they like do this entertainment journalism in this kind of like cutesy way with lots of wordplay, but because it's like Great Britain's #1 entertainment news magazine, they're able to get like Kevin Feige and Ryan Reynolds and Sean Levy and Hugh Jackman to pick up the phone. But they do all this like weird stuff. So we're kind of sifting through this article. Like, is this wordplay from the person who wrote the article?
Yeah,
or are they
Ryan
confirming
Reynolds.
certain canonical details about the
Yes.
universe now from the screenwriter? We figured for this episode it'd be helpful for us to like guide you through it to try to figure out what technically is a direct quote, what is like being paraphrased, and what is just some wordplay by the writer of this article as we try to sift through what the original version of Deadpool and Wolverine screenplay was. So Jess, I figured I'd read the parts from this article where it starts with Ryan Reynolds' original pitch and why Kevin Feige shot it down. Okay, so the article kind of begins back in 2018 when Marvel Studios was in the midst of producing Avengers, Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, and Deadpool 2 had just come out. But, you know, Disney was in the process of buying Fox, so they were all kind of uncertain of what the future of this franchise would be. It says, on this day, Reynolds pitched a movie in which Deadpool teamed up on screen with the most iconic of all the X-Men, a mutant with a handy healing factor and 6 metal claws who became a crazy, unpredictable, unkillable killing machine. He wanted Wolverine. In particular, he wanted a, quote, Rashomon story about Wolverine and Deadpool and something that they got into together, but told from 3 completely different perspectives, explains Reynolds. It was a way to make a large-scale movie in a very small way. Feige listened to what Reynolds had to say. He heard a pitch that, for pretty much every other executive in Hollywood, would have been a green-lighting no-brainer, and then he said no. Now, the article goes on to say that part of Kevin Feige's reasoning was that, you know, he respected what James Mangold did in the 2017 Logan film so much, but specifically, let's talk about what this Rashomon story was. Like, Rashomon, the Akira Kurosawa classic film from 1941 that kind of looks at a crime that happens in the woods to a woman. It's told from 3 different perspectives, and Kurosawa reshot the sequence in 3 different acts where the actors are playing it completely different ways, and it's just meant to show, like, the subjectivity of narrative and how you can have unreliable narrators who basically can have a completely different viewing of recent history, and it kind of plays out like a trial. And so Rashomon is just kind of thrown around a lot, and when screenwriters are talking about like just looking back at history and they shoot it in different ways. Christopher Nolan has played with this a lot in Memento and as well as in Oppenheimer. So basically, were we gonna see like Deadpool and Wolverine kind of reframe their history from the past, where like from Deadpool's perspective the Fox X-Men timeline played out this way, from Wolverine's perspective it played out this way, and we were trying to figure out who was lying?
Are you talking about like we'd be still handling different universes?
I think in this version there was really no multiverse. I think this was before there was like a Disney buyout necessary, or before that was locked in, or before they even knew that the multiverse would be involved in that. I think Ryan Reynolds maybe pitched Deadpool and Wolverine to already be set in the MCU, or just in its own little like area that it's not really defined where it is, but it's just them kind of like trying to recollect their histories, or maybe there's some mission they went on together. They were trying to remember the events of like X-Men Origins of Wolverine, and maybe we realized the reason why he looks so weird with his mouth sewn shut is that was just how Wolverine remembers it.
Yeah,
and
but
maybe
it's different.
like
Okay.
maybe Wade remembers it a different way, and it was a much cooler movie, and it was just retelling the events of that particular movie.
I think that's very funny, and that could have been done, but I think it wouldn't have been. The pitch does not sound like it's practical for something of a Deadpool movie, if that makes sense. Because then, as someone that would just hear that pitch, I'd be like, yeah, but I've seen your movie, so is one storyline going to be the actual storyline? And we listen to 3 storylines that are just chaotic and funny, which is fine, but it's still like, how would I keep track of this?
Yeah, I think that's what it was, because as the article goes on, it talks about how Kevin Feige was really worried about like treading on the grave of 2017 Logan. And I wonder if like what Ryan Reynolds really wanted to do was just make fun of all the Fox X-Men movies now that they were like Marvel properties. And Kevin Feige's like, I don't know how I'm going to integrate like the X-Men into the MCU yet. So I don't want to like make fun of all that work right away. I think Ryan Reynolds was going to make a story that was far more hands-on with like those Fox X-Men movies and like reframing them from a different perspective. I think that's what he means by Rashomon. It was going to be more referential. It was going to just pick up directly with that post-credit sequence where he's in 3 Mile Island, that facility, and he's like saying, hey, one day Wade's going to ask you to get back on the saddle. And I bet it was going to like pick back up directly there in the late 80s, and it was going to like reshoot that movie.
Okay, I could see that. That would be fun. I'm glad, though. I think Kevin Feige's better than me, and I'm glad that he kind of shot it down. Because I'm like, I get it, but I think I like what we're getting right now more.
Yeah, I think, I mean, it's one of these things that we would pitch here on New Rockstars, like I just did, you know? Mm-hmm. And I think, like, you can imagine Ryan Reynolds being like, yeah, let's do it. Let's be super self-referential. Let's be irreverent. I think a lot of other executives would have been like, yeah, let's do it, Ryan Reynolds. Make me $1 billion. And Kevin Feige's like, was more patient about it.
Well, they still are thinking like years ahead. So it's like, if I made this today, how is this going to benefit me in 5 years in the Marvel universe? Like, is this going to actually, and it's also still like, you're still coming over into this universe. So we still have to make it practical for what we already have in our universe to join yours. Simpatico. Is that what they said?
Yeah. Yeah. Also, he's like, I really want to do Eternals and Moon Knight and Ms. Marvel and She-Hulk and the Marvels and Secret Invasion and Thor Love and Thunder and this weird version of Multiverse of Madness. Like, he had all these other movies that he really wanted to do first.
Don't laugh at them. Don't laugh at them. Some of us were still rooting.
Hey, you know what? And I liked a lot of the titles I've just said. I'm just saying that they were not as successful. Mm-hmm. I still liked these. They just were not as successful. I think we can look at the numbers and say that they did not connect with everyone as much as like Endgame did.
Yeah, Endgame was perfect.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was. It was great.
It just gave people everything they
and it
wanted.
did. It satisfied my needs. It satisfied. Sometimes people just need that. And I got it.
Yeah, that's true.
And I got it. I got mines, and I'm happy about it.
Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Erik Voss, and this is a breakdown of the trailer for Spider-Chum, which will finally answer the question of what exactly happened to all the people who just kind of like spiders, but don't have any superpowers beyond not being grossed out by how many eyes they have. Seriously, spiders have 8 eyes. Isn't that wild? Most of those eyes aren't even helping with depth perception, so what are they seeing? Ultraviolet radiation? The polarization of light?
Some kind of special arachnid aura that humans can't even imagine.
Marshmallow? Honey? Peppermint? Oh man, this is so much better. Wait, what the hell is Spider-Chum? No matter what you're talking about, if you're talking a lot, One Shot Energy's voice drops can be the relief your throat needs. Go to oneshotenergy.com/newrockstars to get 10% off your order. So going ahead with the article now, as they were going ahead, it sounds like the difference was Hugh Jackman just basically went on a long drive by the ocean and was like,
Sometimes it takes that. Sometimes it takes that.
He's like, you know what? I want to be in this movie with Ryan Reynolds. So then he called Ryan Reynolds. Is like, I'm in if you'll have me. And then Ryan Reynolds is like, okay, yeah, sure. So he got with like his writers from the first Deadpool movie, Rhett Reese, Paul Wernick, and Zeb Wells, and they basically just sat in a writer's room and they're like, okay, what story can we do here?
I did not know Zeb Wells wrote on it until I read this article, and I love Zeb. I know a lot of people are upset about Spider-Man, but I love him.
So they all sit in the room and they start breaking the story out, and I'm just imagining like, because Ryan Reynolds is such a character, and I'm watching Welcome to Wrexham, and it's just he's such an enigmatic figure. It's weird to imagine him in like a boring conference room with a bunch of like dry erase boards and being like, no, we can't do that because it's not set up with like a good enough act structure in Act 1. And I feel like we need another character beat here where he's like doing, like imagining what would it be like trying to write like a story, like to break a screenplay with him.
Yeah, I guess you just
hard.
You trust the process because it works every time. It's been working, so it's like, even if he said something so crazy, I'd be like, I don't think we can do that.
Like, I can imagine him throwing out ideas, but like, it's fascinating to watch the guys who do South Park, Parker and Stone, because they really are like story guys, and then they did this like lecture for NYU film students, and like. Trey Parker was like, okay, so here are the acts of your story, and you break it out into character beats. Between these beats, if there's an and then or something like that, it has to be like a but or therefore that connects all these story beats, so that everything is consequential or so like twists what came before. But if it's just like a continuation, it means like your story is just like a run-on sentence, like the sentences I speak in most of the time.
Oh, it's okay.
Okay, so once Hugh Jackman got on board, this article explains, they started to talk about how it would connect with the story of Logan, of the 2017 film where Logan died. And we all remember in that announcement video when Ryan Reynolds was like, we're not going to touch Logan's death. And now that we're watching the trailer, it does still revisit that gravesite. They're going there, but we're just wondering like what that means. And then Feige says, quote, in this article, Feige says there will be Logan references in Deadpool and Wolverine, but, quote, very reverential ones, while any concerns Jackman had were quickly quashed. Quote, I knew Ryan would fight as hard for Wolverine as I would fight for him. So what do we think that means? Is it like this movie is going to revisit this gravesite, but physically Deadpool is going to fight to defend anyone from touching that grave or trying to dig up that corpse? And that's the way they pay respect to it?
I think it's that as well, but maybe the reverse, where they're trying to stop him from getting to the gravesite. I think he's like, I gotta get in there, and they're like, no, you're not touching this. Because that's the hard part about, and I talked about this, he makes everything a bit. So even when I theorize, I'm like, he could also just drop kick my idea out the window, because he could just come out of nowhere, rip his pants off, and do something stupid. I could see him be like, I need to get in there. Feige won't let me. And they're like, you're not touching this. You're not touching 2017 Logan.
The next part of the article kind of starts to give us some more context. And I'm just going to read these 3 paragraphs in full. I'll speed through it. But it says, once it became clear that not only was Deadpool 3 happening, but it was also going to incorporate Wolverine, the feverish speculation began. Would this film properly insert Deadpool into the MCU? If so, how? And Wolverine too? Is this the gateway to the X-Men popping up for good? Would Reynolds and Jackman be sticking around in the long term? The answers will have to remain shrouded in secrecy for the time being. Everyone's lips are sealed so tightly they might as well be sewn shut. Quote, I'm very nervous talking to you, admits Reynolds, while Jackman confesses with a grin, I've never been so scared of what's coming out of my mouth. This we do know thanks to both everyone's mouths and approximately 12 minutes of footage Empire was privy to, which contains a fourth wall gag so good it might be the real reason Fleabag ended. Wade Wilson is living his life in what we will call the Fox universe of cinematic Marvel experiences, or fuck me for short. Deadpooling is a thing of the past, drudgery is the order of the day. Quote, the story I was writing is a bit about survivor's guilt and friendship and what that meant, says Reynolds, and I think a bit of middle-aged ennui as well, as sexy as that is. So there's a lot there, and I think what they're getting at, and this is kind of the most confusing part of the article, was this fuck me acronym of the writer, or were they paraphrasing something Ryan Reynolds said? It's hard based off of the tone and the different standards of journalism in the UK versus the US, whether that would be like paraphrase or just some British wit that the writer opined.
That is too aggressive to be British wit.
You think it's so specific that he must have been taking it from
Yeah,
100%.
That's too aggressive from a journalist's opinion, and also very brave, I guess, to be like interviewing and being like, it's called fuck me.
And this is also why it's kind of like hard to understand, because he says a gag so clear it might be the real reason Fleabag ended. Now Fleabag, of course, Phoebe Waller-Bridge's amazing series where she breaks the fourth wall all the time. Her character is only known as Fleabag. You don't know her real name other than that. And there's this crazy moment where, like, both her and Hot Priest, played by Andrew Scott, he can see her breaking the fourth wall, and it freaks her out. It freaks us out, too. It's really scary. But the series never came back. It's mostly because Phoebe Waller-Bridge got thrown millions of dollars at by Amazon. She took a break, a huge, like, 6-year break between season 1 and season 2. So does that mean that they're going to, like, reference Fleabag, or is there something specific about Fleabag's fourth wall logic that Deadpool is going to, like, clarify?
I would love nothing more than Deadpool to even reference Fleabag. My thought process is it's such a different audience.
Yeah.
That even if he made that joke in his movies, I don't think a lot of the audience would know what he's talking about. I think that was the journalist trying to be funny and clever, because it's also like, if you're thinking on the top of your head and you're like, what's the only other character that breaks the fourth wall, you're not gonna say She-Hulk. You're gonna immediately go to Fleabag.
You see, what I'm imagining right now is any of our viewers in the UK are watching these two Americans try to understand British journalism.
Your jokes
like,
are bad, Britain.
why are they so stupid? Why do they have to be so literal? We weave in Oscar Wilde and James Joyce references into our normal police reporting all the time. Why do you need a First Amendment to specify exactly what you can and can't say in your journalism? Stop doing our accent. You're clearly terrible at it.
Bad at it.
So what I think, Jess, is this writer is referring to that moment when Hot Priest turns to look at camera to recognize that Fleabag is looking over his shoulder, and I think that is what this movie will do. It will call out Deadpool's ability to break the fourth wall, and other characters will be like, who are you talking to? Why are you doing this?
I think it'll be Wolverine.
And I think Wolverine will be able to see that. I think Paradox will look at the camera, and I think, like, you know, we could say that She-Hulk already started to do this. You remember that moment when Bruce Banner looks at her looking off to nowhere and reacts to it, which is so creepy. It's creepy to me when characters do that.
I immediately go, oh, this person's special that notices it. That's what I think, because I love Fleabag. And that might be the joke that it gets, is like, oh my god, are you my hot priest? If, like, he notices, that'll be the one little joke, because only some people will get it. I think Cassandra Nova will be, like, one of the first to be like, don't do that.
Yeah,
I see what you're doing.
Really fun.
I recognize what you're doing right now. And he's like, what?
Yeah, I would love it if Cassandra Nova is the one who can break reality too. Like, I've talked about in the past how this movie's going to identify or just codify the term nexus being, and I hope they come up with a different word. Maybe the word is just paradox. Like, we're going to learn what a paradox is, and a paradox is just someone who can, like, see past the walls of reality. The Watcher falls in this category, Deadpool falls in this category, She-Hulk falls in this category, and maybe Cassandra Nova does too.
That'll be fun. That'll be great.
Yeah. So let's talk about this idea of the me. Because that sounds like they're making fun of the Spumsy, which there was like
100.
one article at one point where they called this Sony Pictures universe of Marvel characters. So this kind of feels like it's called the Fox universe of cinematic Marvel experiences. So cinematic almost feels like they're making fun of, was it Scorsese or Coppola who said it's not cinema?
Wait, was it? Yeah, he was the one that was talking shit about it.
Well, Scorsese, they both talk shit, but I think Scorsese was like, these aren't movies, they're like rides at Disneyland.
Damn, Scorsese? Hurt.
I think that's what that is, but experiences makes it feel like this isn't so much a universe, it's just like a pocket reality that's designed to remind us of like Marvel comic reading experiences, and that's basically their commentary on the Fox universe of the past. It's not exactly a well-connected universe because there's all kinds of plot holes and disconnections, but what it does is it just kind of like echoes these little moments that make us feel good from reading comics.
I think calling it the FUC me is just also Deadpool being like, there's too many of you. Like, I can't do this anymore. Because he's still working for the TVA. So anytime he's going to come across, like, Elektra, any of them, he's going to be like, F me. Like, I can't do this.
Oh, I hope he says that a lot.
There's going to be a lot of them. They're all just going to start popping up. And they do all, but we already saw, like, the scene where there's a bunch of mutants there with Cassandra Nova, so he's definitely gonna be like, damn, there's just so many of you.
I want to ask you about the TVA, but real quick, Ryan Reynolds said the story I was writing is a bit about survivor's guilt. Now, is that in reference to Wolverine feeling survivor's guilt? This is a Wolverine who lost all of his other X-Men and he's the only one left?
I think with the line in the trailer that's genuinely like, yeah, this Wolverine ruined his world. I think that's him, because he's probably watched all his fellow X-Men die, and now he's like, there's no point in existing. I'm just wandering this world, drinking myself to death. And it's probably that. But if he wrote the survivor's guilt in his self point of view, Deadpool's, it could be that he's like, I'm going to lose my world. I'm losing everybody I love, and like I'm not doing enough to save them. I need to save them.
I mean, I've made probably 12 videos about the most recent trailer at this point, and I still cannot tell you what exactly is going on in that lineup of graves in the wheat field. Like, I know they're probably X-Men graves. I know that's Wolverine, but I don't know what Wolverine that is. I don't know where the setting is. Like, I just don't have a good... I've had a couple theories on it. Like, I've had a theory that it could be the astral plane that Cassandra Nova's projecting Wolverine into. I just don't know why they would put X-Men graves in this logical, like, layout. I feel like it must be a dream sequence.
I would believe that unless he was the one that buried the bodies, and he buried them in a direct line.
And he made these big-ass headstones under the sides of columns. Like, it's just weird.
No, it has to be, like, a figment. It has to be, like, an idea.
But it is specific. Like, those headstones must be something. Like, why they're shaped that way.
More reason why it's, like, a figment of his imagination. Like, someone's forcing him to see this.
Probably the most interesting image we got from this Empire article was this news shot of Matthew Macfadyen as Paradox, TVA agent Paradox. And here's what the article said about him. This is the last part we'll read. Luckily, a new lease on life arrives in the form of a group of TVA, Time Variance Authority agents, who bring Deadpool to the mysterious Mr. Paradox, played by Matthew Macfadyen. Quote, "He's sexy heroic," laughs Macfadyen. "He's running the TVA, and he appears on the surface to be quite helpful. He's got a plan for Deadpool." And then the article goes on, which involves showing him what Feige calls, quote, "the most glorious place in the world, aka the sacred timeline, which also just happens to be the home of the Marvel Cinematic Universe." Quote, "Deadpool is very intrigued by that," says Feige. "Paradox makes Deadpool an offer. He learns soon thereafter that it's not quite as simple an offer as he thought it was," adds Feige. "And the stakes are universe size." And then we can look at the image real quick. It's a shot that just shows that this video village that Macfadyen takes Deadpool to is like a double tiered. It's like the upper level, and there's no barrier to keep you from falling over it. But then there's this long printout that kind of looks like, you know, when Loki was being processed, how they had that dot matrix printer, and it went, and there's like a long unbroken sheet that could be like Deadpool's life, that everything he has ever said is printed out on that scroll. So what do we think this offer is? Is it to just destroy what's left of the Fox X-Men universe down in that post-incursion landscape? Is it specifically to find Wolverine's body and bring him back? What do we think the offer is?
Two things I feel like. I feel like he's definitely wasn't supposed to be bringing Wolverine back. Because he was, Matthew Macfadyen's character was literally like, this Wolverine ruined his world. Why is he up here with the TVA? And I think he's the one that punches him in the face that gives him the broken nose. Because he immediately reacts to being like pulled into this weird place. And secondly, I don't think he's necessarily bad, but I don't think he's good. I think he is using Deadpool as like kind of a scapegoat, because if the world is ending, yes, Deadpool is a great superhero, but he has no actual like eternal strength powers. Eternals don't really have that great of powers either. It's not Captain Marvel. So I'm like, why are you pulling Deadpool specifically? Has he already done a lot of damage and you need to pull him out and maybe just use him to your advantage? Or what's going on here? Are you guys preparing for something? I'm still skeptical, and I always am skeptical, but I'm just like, why would you need Deadpool? Yeah,
I think what Macfadyen is hinting at is that this guy is probably going to be the villain of the movie.
Yeah.
I have a friend of mine, speaking of improv, I have a friend of mine who I did improv with named Nick Davis, who's a hilarious comedian, but he messaged me with this really fun theory. I feel like I've seen it before, but I don't think it's a theory I pitched, that Macfadyen's character could end up being like, you know, Paradox, which it's like a reference to Victor Von Doom being a paradoxical name of a Victor and Doom, and that he could be the MCU's Doctor Doom. I love that idea. I don't know if Macfadyen is who they would pick to be Doctor Doom, but I think I want him to be a regular fixture in the MCU because I think he's just great.
Could he be Molecule Man?
He could be. I mean, it seems like there's been rumors that this movie's going to have the concept of anchors, and that instead of Molecule Man, Owen Reese will just have like random people in different universes, whether it's like James Howlett, Logan Wolverine is like the anchor of that universe, and when he dies, the universe dies that he's in. We just don't have a whole lot of time to start introducing other factors. If we want to get to Secret Wars, we need to start moving the ball forward down the field.
It feels like this movie would be kind of going in the way, or just like preparing us for Secret Wars, even if they're joking about preparing us for Secret Wars. Like, you're not going to have Cassandra Nova with a bunch of mutant villains hanging out in the dirt hellscape without us getting ready for Secret Wars. Yeah, I guess Molecule Man could be faking a TVA and bringing you here to do something stupid, but I don't want them to take someone like Molecule Man and immediately disrupt him. That's a character that I don't want you guys to be. I don't want it to be 2 movies that take him down.
Yeah, what I think is like they need Deadpool because he just kind of has this unique connection to Wolverine, and that they're trying to find a specific version of Wolverine that is kind of critical to whatever this universe is, or to the multiverse. That maybe there's like, I think this Wasteland was like a post-incursion universe that somehow clung to existence through maybe having Cassandra Nova there, and that made it a paradox. Like, you have a dead Ant-Man, Giant Man in there. You have a 20th Century Fox logo. There's all these weird meta anomalies that exist in this paradoxical pocket universe, and it's basically like something that is clogging the system. It's like the ghost in the multiverse machine. So in order to destroy it and just clear it, they need to find this Wolverine who is assigned to it, who's also still alive, and like extract him. And I think that's why they need Deadpool, because he just has this cosmic obsession with Wolverine. And you know how to find them. Go find Empire and download the entire summer issue. It also has a great article about Captain America 4, and buy a whole subscription to Empire while you're at it, because they're obviously doing great work that just goes right over this American's head. They have a wonderful command of the English language. Okay, looking ahead to this week on New Rockstars, we don't have a ton of stuff locked in to stone. Go watch Jessica's breakdown of Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes that is now on the channel. Wonderful film with a wonderful analysis by Jessica, so please go watch that.
I tried. I only know so much about apes.
While you're at it, check out Jessica's breakdown of The Boys Season 4 trailer. Jess, you illuminated so many things that I missed when I watched this trailer. I'm so excited for The Boys. I can't wait to see your breakdowns of that season.
Thank you.
It's going to be a lot of fun. We also, of course, will have our breakdown of the X-Men 97 finale episode, Tolerance is Extinction Part 3, coming out this Thursday.
I don't want the show to stop.
I know, it's been really good. Do you think we'll learn why Bo DeMeo got fired
after
this finale comes? Or do you think they'll just say it on screen?
That would be
like,
so
Bo
wild.
DeMeo was fired for this,
I'd be
this,
like,
and this.
Well, how they normally say, like, Star-Lord will return. It'll be like, Bo's not coming.
Just like the text fades in.
That would be wild as hell. That'd be out of pocket. I'd be like...
It's so weird. Because he was fired by Disney. It was kind of embarrassing for Disney to say that they fired someone. Didn't give any reason.
Didn't give no reason.
A lot of people work on the show are just like very friendly with Bo DeMeo on Twitter. Not everyone who works on the show. Clearly there was some drama.
Yeah.
And we don't know what the drama is. But it's been weird because he's been very vocal on Twitter, giving people like insights and scoops and Easter eggs and details on Twitter. And we've been talking about it a lot in videos, but every time I do, I'm like, this guy was fired for some reason and we still don't know why. And I feel like at some point we're going to find out why. And I'm going to be like, ugh. It's awkward how much we talked about him.
It's not awkward how much we talked about him. It's not gonna come out until after the second season because he still didn't he write the second season too?
Yeah. So they already wrote all the episodes for season 2, and they were in the middle of season 3 writing season 3 when like.
God damn.
So it must have been something. Hey, let's talk about what we're watching, where we talk about other things that are kind of we won't be breaking them down on this channel, but we are watching them or consuming them. So Jess, what have you been watching this week?
So my Vizio TV died. I had it for a year. And Vizio, if you're listening, I knew my mistake because you guys are cheap TVs and I fell for it. And anyone watching right now is also like, yeah, it is cheap. And mine also died in 6 months. Regardless, it died in the middle of the night, and so I had to get another TV. It's an LG, and I didn't know that if you don't touch your LG TV while it's on, it just immediately like syncs to cable, and I don't have cable. So it's stuck on a channel that is playing Dance Moms on a loop. 24/7. And when I say stuck, I mean I turn on my I sleep with my TV on because I'm a psychopath. And so I turn it so I don't care what's on. So I turn it on and it's playing Dance Moms through my sleep. I wake up in the morning and it still plays, and it does not play the episodes in order. So I don't know what's going on.
Oh wow.
So I've been watching Dance Moms, and let me tell you, that show feels illegal. I don't understand how that we let that show slide. Those
The
moms,
show is culpable for what those moms are doing to their girls.
I was like, whoa. Abby Lee Miller was screaming at a 10-year-old. And that poor 10-year-old had a breakdown and was like, please, don't be mad at me. And I was like, you're 10 years old. Abby is 48. She went to jail for tax evasion.
Well, and the boom mic guy is like, hey, can you cry a little bit louder into the microphone,
That
please,
is
little
also,
girl?
I've been also watching Vanderpump Rules, and this girl got so mad and like grabbed the boom mic and threw. And I was like, why am I watching so much reality TV? I will say I'm not a reality TV watcher, so this is my, like, I guess 30 is my year to do it, because I'm watching Dance Moms, I'm watching Vanderpump Rules. That's already too many. What are you watching?
Kelly and I are going through Welcome to Wrexham, because I realized that, like, I feel like there are possible clues in that show for what's going to happen in Deadpool and Wolverine. I mean, look, Ollie Palmer, the striker for Wrexham AFC, showed up in the second trailer, and I'm like, when I initially missed that Easter egg, I'm like, I wouldn't have missed it if I had been watching Welcome to Wrexham.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, I think I have to watch everything that Ryan Reynolds has ever been involved with.
That's
specifically,
that's funny.
it's a good show. It's
yeah,
good.
my roommate watches it.
The thing is like, the second season, that season of Wrexham's, that was like the spring 2023 or fall 2022 to spring 2023, and that's around the time Ryan Reynolds and Sean Levy were in the UK doing production or pre-production for Deadpool 3, and they don't really show it overtly in the foreground, but if you pause it, you can see Sean Levy in the box for every game that Ryan Reynolds is at, every match. So what that means is that, like, they were working on it at that time, and the other celebrities who show up, like, at one point Will Ferrell shows up, and I'm like, does that mean we're gonna get a Will Ferrell cameo in this movie?
I love that
Paul
you're
Rudd
like,
shows up. Paul Rudd is in the background of one of these things, and it's like, fuck,
oh my
maybe we are gonna
goodness.
get a Scott Lang cameo in this
we're
movie.
gonna have to get into soccer now. We can't play sports.
We can't, but I watch it and I appreciate it and I cry during these episodes because they're so good.
I can't do that. I'm gonna go watch some woman get mad and grab a boom mic instead.
It's like Ted Lasso, but if Ted Lasso didn't have a garbage final season. Although I haven't gotten to final season of Wrexham, so I don't know.
Oh,
Ted Lasso's final season was shit.
I know,
so
you tell
bad.
me every time. Anything on Apple TV I haven't watched unless it's Monarch, which is very, I'm sorry that I have not watched anything on Apple TV but
Gotta
Monarch.
watch Severance.
When the episodes aren't over an hour, then I will.
Long.
What happened to TV being 20 to 30 minutes? That's what gets me. That's what gets me watching. What did we watch? I'm not saying it was great, but Knuckles was only like 20 minutes tops an episode.
Yeah.
I went through that shit in one evening, and I said, "Ooh, I forgot that TV used to be like this after 2000, like before 2009." I was like,
That's
after
why-
Mad Men and the freaking Sopranos, 2005, just like they just started being like, you know what? Actually, we make a lot more money if they lasted an hour.
Well, it's also like the Netflix model, and then you have a lot of like directors who are just basically getting director's cut on these episodes, and they want streaming hours, so it helps to have like an episode of Stranger Things that's 55 minutes versus 42 minutes.
I can't do it.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I think The Office and Friends will always be at the top of streaming, because people are like, yeah, I'll do another one. I'll do another 22 minutes.
I just want to watch something that I don't.
Yeah.
An hour? I literally watch something, 2 episodes of something, and I go, oh, it's 11 p.m.
This has been, another wonderful episode of The Sneak Peek. I want to thank you, Jessica, for joining me as always. It's always a delight to break this stuff down with you.
Absolutely.
Thank you to everyone in the British Isles for your patience with us in this episode, as always, and for not coming after me for my awful accent work when it comes to the way you all talk. And I said the way you all talk, not like there's like hundreds of different dialects within that country alone.
How dare you?
I'm an asshole. But I love you guys. Follow Jessica at Lulu_Clemons. Follow me at EA Voss. Follow New Rockstars on all social media. Subscribe to all 3 channels of the New Rockstars Network. Grab something from our merch store, nerdriot.shop. And we'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.